at the moment, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this on the ride too, you know. Nthi, baby. Yeah, that's how we do it, baby. Rare. Check it out.
Welcome to Moment Talk. I'm your host, Shiso Moore. On episode 35, we have a guest that's an actor, a musician, a director, a producer, a creative public figure. He's appeared on national radio, TV, and news outlets. This gentleman is the pioneer of Hmong rap music. Those who know him is a former rapper of Rare. After many years, he came back to produce one song, Legacy, dedicated to Joe. So rest in peace to Joe. You probably have seen him on Gran Trio. He's been involved in a handful of nonprofit organizations. Let's all welcome him, Elvis, Thao. But first, let's thank our sponsors. Today's sponsor is brought to you by She Sells Menswear. Are you looking for the latest trendy men's fashion? Look no further. She Sells Menswear carries handcrafted bow ties, suit accessories, and everyday streetwear. They are your one-stop Hmong-inspired men's shop. You can search them online at www.xixomenswear.com. Now let's get back to the show. We are super excited. I got a gentleman that originated from the Midwest, a musician, a rapper, an actor. He's definitely a pioneer of what the man does, man. Elvis, how has it been, man?
What's up, man? How's it going, everyone?
You drinking your kombucha? Is that
drinking. Yeah, you should try kombucha. It's great. Good probiotics, man. Healthy, good for your body.
It's a tea?
It's a blend of it's a probiotic tea. It's a blend of a lot of different things, but it's my soda. I don't drink soda. So.
Yeah, you and I can relate. I don't drink soda too.
If this is my soda, I'm doing pretty good.
I'm a big juice guy, man. I'm a big juice guy in water. That's all I drink.
Try kombucha, man. Gets you a lot of replenishing.
I should do that.
Replenishing. You find it at the Whole Foods or something.
Cool. Now, Elvis, we met, a few years back as acquaintance. And I'm trying to think back how far back we met.
Yeah, thanks for all the work you've done, man. You did some photography and stuff for us, and
yeah, likewise too, man.
Some media work and stuff. So I appreciate that.
Likewise.
We met the Mater. I know that. I was at one of the parties. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, definitely.
Mama Mater in the house. What's up?
Right. Now, can you tell the audience one thing we do not know about you?
Oh my God, I don't know, man. I move around so much. I guess that would be the thing. I mean, I guess with the popularity and, as much people as I know and, the influence, I guess, that I've done around, I guess, the nation. I'm very much a loner a lot, man. Like I do a lot of things on my own. I pick up weird habits. I'm kind of I'm kind of this like nerd buff. So like gardening, kiting, I don't know. I do just weird stuff like that. Like I'm very nomadic. Sometimes I just go out on the road and live places for a while and I don't know, nature freak. I'm just weird. I read a lot, do a lot of research, and I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I'm very crafty, artsy, so I'm just like in places, I don't know, wine tastings, art galleries, just stuff by myself. I don't wait on people, man. And not everyone has my same interests, so I take my own time.
Let's go back, way back, because you said you're not only that, but you're very driven too. Because, man, again, you've been an actor, you were a musician. I mean, you've done quite some things in, what you've done. A lot of people have known you for Gran Trio now back in 2008. So, I mean, you've done other films, like The Surface, I like Beneath Their Feet, but a lot of people know you for Gran Trio. But you're also a musician, a singer, man. I mean, it's just amazing what you're doing, and you were part of Rare, and we'll talk a little about Joe too. But yeah, man, tell us, way back. Why is that? Why you're a nomad and why you have that driving you?
My nomadic lifestyle?
Yeah. Why is it like that, dude?
Oh man, I don't know, man. I mean, it definitely comes from the arts. I know that I always say to people we're different species. I know we're all human, but artists have this kind of thing about them. They're more mobile. They're more, sometimes can be a little discreet, sometimes can be a little more open, whatever it may be. But we learn to sometimes internalize and externalize things differently. I think, I don't know, just makes it just a little more rounded, man. I'm able to be everywhere in every different circumstance at once, so I adjust easily, and I think that's kind of, as an artist, you need to know the crowd too, and that's that way you can adjust to certain crowds, as far as on stage and your audiences, right? So maybe it's just that, like wherever I go, I just learn to adjust, whether I'm in, you know, even if it's political places or spiritual places, whatever it may be, temples, mosques, churches, different age groups, from like teens to seniors. I don't know, man. I'm not sure, but I know it's my artistic lifestyle of like wanting, because you always, human beings are fascinating. This world's fascinating, so you always just want to put you in places, and it's more of you wanting to grow and learn all the time. I don't know. I just always found it easy. Um, I was that way when I was a kid, man. It was hard to keep me home. I was very
Yeah,
active.
tell us more about
Um,
that.
I was just always, I don't know, man. I love the sandbox during recess. I always played in the sand and building castles and stuff. And then when I was home, I don't know, I just sit on the grass and like just do things. I would walk in parks. I always found stuff. I I, I think that's how my like it's been for me in showbiz. It's like I just move around and just in a variety of places around a variety of crowds, and then I just things just find me or I find things. Like I used to just find jewelry and money, like things just lying in parks just because I was always curious. I'm like, what's that? What's that? What's that? What happens if I go here? What happens if I go there? I don't know. I just kind of had that spirit all the time. And I think eventually you just land things. So I think that's been more of my, because people always ask for like technical advice as far as being an artist, and I have that too, but it's more of my spirit. I think that gets me places. So
You're so driven, because
yeah,
you
it's a little weird.
you were like
Yeah, it's a
hip
little
hopping
weird
and
to
stuff too.
explain it that way, but that's just the truth.
You're
Right,
very
right,
creative
right.
and curious as a individual.
Oh yeah, I think and hip hop has a lot to do with it. I think like a lot of people don't realize it, but I always say like hip hop saved like a big part of me as far as my identity and knowing who I am. Um, it took a different culture for me to discover myself again, I guess. You know what I mean? Because we in our generations, we grow up Hmong, we don't know anything about ourselves because we're too busy being American. We're busy trying to fit in, get accepted. It's so challenging to operate in a society where you're dealing with things at school and the workplace, and then you're dealing with traditional aspects at home and your parents and cultures. And so hip hop gave me that identity of first you have a voice. You know what I mean? And once you have a voice, you build that creativity and that power. When you build that, then you start to find parts of you that you never knew you had. And so I think I mean, I get it. People listen to top 40 hip hop and blah blah, and radio, and that's all they know. It just sounds good, cool, right? And that's cool. If it moves you, it moves you, great. But I went a little deeper than that. As I'm meeting a lot of DJs and different things like that, delving into older records, it got me more into Black culture. Like civil rights movement and where the history of hip hop, where everything came from, all the way back to the blues, and the foundation of music and all these elements. And with that, it was like, wait, who the hell am I? Like, I know so much about, I studied Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, so on and so on, right? Geronimo Pratt, Black Panthers, and all these type of things. But it's like, and that's cool because that gave me a head start of like being curious and like having courage and strength, to learn from a different group of people and study off of them and borrow off of them. And that led me back to like, okay, so who am I as a Hmong individual? And it just made those roots even stronger, like already coming from another background, and then I mean, finding yourself again. So it was kind of cool. It's cool discovery. It was more than just music, man. This stuff it was deeper than that.
Is that how you came about and got the song nthi? Because that is by far the song that I could sing lyric to lyric. Because it's just like, man, it means so much, and it tells a lot about about your culture, who you are as we as Hmong. And seriously, like to hear Hmong nthi was back in 2017 when you guys came back, when YDR y'all collaborated, but to hear it live and acoustic, it's once in a lifetime. I've heard you guys on like, you know, kind of karaoke, but to hear karaoke, I was like,
Oh
wow, I
man,
can't.
I wish I can do that again. Um, I, I would love to do another acoustic set with that song. That'd be great.
That was
That
the
was one of
only
my
one. It was a rare moment. No pun
that was
intended.
my finest. Yeah. No,
To
no, I
hear it
actually
live, you know, live, right? I'm like, wow, this
yeah,
is
that was one of
amazing. I'm
my
hearing this, you know.
and I've always been dying to do that. You know, as most people don't know, I have a rock band as well, an American rock band that I've been trying to push for a while. You know, didn't become too successful, but we're still hanging around. But I mean, I always wanted to implement that, and I thought, you know, like that would be, you know, like just a great feat because you know, at least later in life, and maybe earlier on, people won't listen to that, but you know, once they're familiar enough, like they want to hear it in different ways, get creative. Everyone's done that, you know. Lauryn Hill, Jay-Z, these guys done acoustic sets, you know, VH1 storytellers and stuff like that. So, yeah, eventually, like, I was happy to do that. You know, If I Should Die felt really good in acoustic as
That's
well.
dope, man. That's so dope.
Yeah.
The latest of the latest, you know, you and the squad and Jer, you know, and y'all came back, you know, with LP and Tommy. Y'all came back for Legacy, which was this song was dedicated to Joe, you know, Big Daddy Joe. You know, he was an acquaintance. I didn't know him that well, but
Yeah, if a lot of
and this just came out in in the the lyric. You were first to be on the mic and you said you made a man out of me and introduced me to the streets around gangbangers and drug dealers. Tell me about that, man. Is that the
should
hood
we?
life, or is that just, you know, an acronym or something you spitting out?
No, I mean, I never was in gangs or you know,
Okay,
never really banged or anything back in the days, but I was always around it. I think the big thing about my verse, and it was very simplified. You know, I
yeah,
think people who know me, more lyrically, my content normally is a little more lyrical. This one was just straightforward. But anyways, let's first of all, if you guys don't know, Joe, Big Daddy Mojo, Yang, Joseph Yang, so many different titles. But yeah, he passed away in November, and if you talk about the genius of nthi, I can't even really take credit for that song. The whole thing was Joe's idea, from the hook, from the concept of the song to the beat. Me and Tommy just kind of like we wrote with it. So Tommy's the other partner. Thompson is what he's called on record, and we didn't want to rap in Hmong because my Hmong is terrible. His Hmong's terrible. Joe's Hmong is always good, and so it was something where we had to find a way to how to write, and that's we can speak it, but it was just how do you implement it into a lyricism, put it into a song on beat. It was a new territory for us, and we really just thought it was a song for us and our people, and we didn't think of anything. You know, I actually didn't really like the song myself, which most people don't know. It just didn't. To me, it was kind of just like an extra bonus, something that we're gonna. Hey, let's. What? Sure, it's a Hmong song. Why not? We're Hmong. So but I didn't see the impact of it, you know, in the beginning. And I think that's what's beautiful about some songs. I think some of the greatest hits from a lot of band members sometimes happen that way, you know, whether it's Beatles or Led Zeppelin or whoever. But it's like, you know, sometimes they just add songs and it's like, oh, I didn't think that one was going to be that big. Okay, great. But that's what kind of happened. And but no, Joe is such a genius and it's hard to miss him. But if you want me to break down the lyrics, I think like at the end when I said God took the teacher and it was a student he left, like that's the actual truth. Like I became Joe's student. I worked under him, studied him, and he took me under his wing. You know, it was just it was just really deep, you know, and it was like, and I began to flourish in other areas. It's sometimes that happens, you know. The teacher, you know, teaches, and you know, the student finds avenues, and you know, like it's like Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad. You know, like Malcolm became something special. It is what it is, and so yeah, and like I said, I'll always be that I'll always be that kid that, you know, he found from the ashes because I was doing nothing. I was nobody until he found me into Rare, and that became everything. But you know, going back to what you said about uh, being Joe introducing me to the streets as well, I know that's not the best way, you know, to bring somebody in. but I think what you don't understand is I grew up with all sisters. So I'm the youngest and I'm the only boy, so the baby and the only boy. And so growing up, I didn't really have a brother figure, and it was tough, for most of my life until my teens, because I was raised in California, a small town called Modesto. So all I knew was small town, and all I knew was my sisters. You know what I mean? I had other friends and uncles and people that I hung out with, but nobody in my household, right? So when I moved to Milwaukee, life changed for me, and eventually they became my brothers. And then I started spending 80% of my time with them, and only like 20% of my time at home. So I grew into that brotherhood. They toughened me up, and everything. And when I got into the streets, I gained this knowledge that I wasn't getting from home or that I wasn't getting from school. This different type of knowledge, this toughness, this aggression, my integrity changed and things like that. So when I started being around gangbangers and drug dealers and OGs, it was more of just like seafood, like it's like that spiritualism, but it was more just knowledge based, street knowledge. It was more just like, and even though I wasn't banging with these gangsters, it was like, but I was in their circles. I was around them. I got to see them. I got to study them. I got to feel them, and you know what I mean. And I realized that they ain't so much bad people. It's just their directions are bad, and their activities, and they're just putting it in the wrong basket. But these guys are, they're smart, they're intelligent, they're passionate. It's just that they got to find the right basket to put all those attributes to. So I knew, like, yeah, okay, being a G is, like that's cool, that's cool. But you know what I mean, just being a G about the right things. And then so it was like, but I developed that side of me that toughened me up. You know what I mean, and that's why I'm out here on my own doing what I do. I'm a standalone guy. I don't depend on nobody. I never call for backup. I mean, it is what it is. I go out and tackle things on my own. And that brotherhood was strong because I needed that through my teens. That's when I grew the most, you know. So that when I became rare, it was a lot easier for me to just say, "Let's go," let's make things happen, and to grow even more from that. So, yeah, Joe,
And
Tommy,
then
Jerry.
rest in peace to Joe. You left the Midwest in Milwaukee, and you
Yeah,
also said goodbye to Rare. But you left after into your acting career too. All at this, pretty much kind of in the between. And again,
yeah, it was tough.
you work with like, you were actors with Warner Brothers. Again, you were with, um, you've been in films. You've been acting for quite a minute now too. Again, like Gran Torino, The Surface, Your Life Beneath Your Feet. How do you get all these gigs in the moving actor gigs?
So it was weird because, like I said, when we talked about before, like me not wanting to sit around, I'm just very active. And I think uh, Rare eventually went into somewhat of a breakup. We were unsure, 2006 to 2008ish. With me not being one not to sit around, I just took that time to rediscover myself and reinvent myself. And yeah, like Gran Torino, I never thought of acting. And that's the thing about being open, being available, and like I tell people all the time, even in like basic career fields, like being a doctor, being a stylist, being a lawyer, being an architect, right? There's so many fields in the entertainment world, man. Like people don't realize that like it's not so much switching, your craft. It's just finding a different industry for it. There's hundreds and hundreds of available slots in the arts. You can be making double as a lawyer, defending an entertainer. You know what I mean? You can be making double as a stylist, cutting somebody up in a movie trailer than as supercuts or something, right? And so and I think that was the thing, like I just found different avenues in the same industry, but just different career fields. So now I want to go into producing. I want to start writing and creating and building concepts and things like that. You know what I mean? So I just found acting. It was something that came along. Gran Torino was kind of this open audition, no experience. I was a little nervous. And I went through this peak where I was giving up. because it wasn't so much I was tired of trying, you know what I mean? Because I always have that fight in me. But I was tired of the fame. Like, I was tired of the attention. I was tired of being bothered. I just like, I but I was kidding myself. I, I thought I could settle down. I thought okay, maybe this is enough. And eventually, you know, I realized, you know, you just gotta look in the mirror, like, are you serious? Is this you? Like, or are you going through a thing? And I was going through a thing. So Gran Torino woke me up again, a little fire back in my, you know, back in me. And so, and thanks a lot to a lot of people who pressured me back into it, because I almost said no to Gran Torino, and that would have been a tragic. So I told this story before, but it was, I wasn't working. I was broke. I had nothing. And so I borrowed like $200-300 from my sister, and I just had enough to go up there. I slept in my car. Couldn't even afford a hotel. So I drove, I took the 5-hour trip to St. Paul, Minnesota. I didn't play any music. I don't know. I was going through this. It was weird, surreal. Like, I just drove 5 hours in complete quiet. And yeah, somehow I got the call back. And yeah, it took a while to wait, but I didn't know. I didn't understand how movies work. So I was just like, okay, I did this thing, I left. And it was weird, man. But I'm glad I have no regrets, because I could have said no and none of this would have happened. Yeah.
That's great, man. I'm glad that
So
went
it's
through.
good. Yeah, it's good to have some peers and a good support system. You know what I mean?
Now you started like, you know, you're now, you know, from again acting to a producer director. You started a Handsome Productions. Tell me more about that and why you like to get
Yeah.
into producing.
So also in between the whole Red breakup, I got really deep into like activism. You know, I started doing more work with curriculum students. I work at schools and stuff. So there's a lot of workshops and discussions and public speaking and things like that. So you know, and more spoken word, and so that really poetic side of me came out at, you know, community service, social work, and that delved into my storytelling even more. You know what I mean? Now that I have more of a purpose with what I'm doing. So then I picked up the guitar, started singing the songwriting, play guitar. Then I built up this town of creatives. We were doing okay. You know, it was just it's a tough pitch. You know, it's transitioning into something else. So it's been a hard thing. It's hard to keep an audience, man. You know, when you're diving into so many different, you know, like some want that, some don't want that, some will follow at all, and some are like. But anyways, so eventually I did what I probably consider my biggest recording ever. Was in Chicago Recording Company. It's a historic venue. Michael Jackson's recorded there, Smashing Pumpkins, R. Kelly. Like, it's a huge studio. And so I worked out with some really nice producers there, and they were the first ones that were like. So I did this project. It was kind of folky, gospel, a lot of different elements, and I grabbed some of the best musicians in Chicago. These are probably the best guys I've ever worked with. And then after we completed the project, because the producers couldn't understand what I was doing, like, they were just like, okay, sounds right, but let's figure out how it goes. At the end of the thing, they thought it was a complete masterpiece. And to them, they're like, why are you not producing movies? It's like, what you just did was you just put this ensemble together, and you put the storylines, and you just put this whole thing together, and it just sounds masterful. And we had no idea what your vision even was until you put it all together, and now it came out to fruition. And they're like, it's this would be the same thing as making a movie. Like, you have that kind, you have the chops for it. And I always wanted to produce, anyways, especially being under, you know, Clint Eastwood's wing and able to watch him work. He was the first guy that built my curiosity of like, man, I like how Clint works, and if this is producing, I would love to do this, you know, directing. And so when those guys said that to me at the studio, that just like gave me certainty. Like, okay, like pretty much tomorrow I'm gonna start directing. I'm not one to sit and wait,
lit
man.
the fire in you, man.
I'm not one to sit and wait, man. When somebody says something like that, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go, bam, now let's do it. So I did. I shot a short film. So I actually went to Columbia College, Chicago. It's a big film school. I just took some courses for about close to a year. Picked up some basics and just you know, shot me a short. And then I was working on this reality television show. And then I was working at an incubator out in Chicago that they really helped me blueprint the whole thing. They were able to design the whole concept of like the business side of it. So I knew about, you know, certain rights like city ordinances, um, and different exclusive contracts and so on and so on, and clearance, and so it's pretty intense about just having the idea, but now how to implement it. And so I pretty much have the whole blueprint. And I said, and my acting wasn't going too well in Chicago. So, I mean, I had an agent and everything, but it just wasn't doing, you know, what I wanted to do. So I was like, and I always had dreams of LA, and Chicago was kind of that medium. You know, I wasn't doing anything in Milwaukee anymore. I kind of hit the ceiling of like, this is as much as I can do here. So I was like, I gotta get moving. So it took. I didn't want to go straight to LA. The fear of failure, but it was working smarter, not harder. I felt like going to LA just would have been too big of a stepping stone for me. So I stopped in Chicago, and that gave me just a good balance of big city life, new environment, new career avenues, and it kind of just honed me enough. Even though I didn't make a lot of money there and didn't book a lot of gigs there, but I felt like that was my education. I feel like I did a 4-year college there, pretty much. And then I took off to LA. I took the ideas that I did, everything I did in Chicago, took with me to LA, and here we are. We'll see how it goes. So.
How long you been in LA now?
Just a year and a half. I got it like late 2018.
Man, it's not that long ago. It felt like long ago, you know?
No, I wanted to start my year there, start 2019 there. So
yeah,
LA stuff.
Good luck to all that, you know, that you're pursuing, man. It's again, you're just on fire, dude. You just keep going and going. It's kind of unpredictable because we don't know when the next. Who knows? You might be producing something that'd be coming out, and if so, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and I think that's what a lot of people don't know about me as well. Is like, you know, as you mature, things change. You know, I mean, you don't have the same energy anymore for certain things. You know, I didn't lose any energy. I'm probably more energetic now. I'm just, you know, more energetic towards how I disperse my energy is a little different now. So I actually prefer to perform less now, even as an artist or even as a musician, even as an actor. Like I think all my life I will always be on camera on stage just because that's what I was born into. But at the same time, I also feel like most of my life will be in the studio, will be creating, will be writing and putting projects together. And so let's hope that's what it is. I actually came to LA for that. Yes, I'm pursuing acting here, but my ultimate goal is actually to produce. Hands-on productions is my ultimate goal of getting that off the floor and getting it going and start shooting some really.
What's the vision you got for Hands-On?
So what's our slogan? Quilted Visions Coming of Age, I think. Quilted Visions Coming of Age, yeah. So just really telling, it's really just storytelling. I want to still, you know, tell stories that are hidden, stories that don't get a lot of light, you know, that aren't on the platform a lot. And because I move around a lot from my own personal experiences and got to know a lot of different crowds. And then this is one thing people don't know either. I'm a co-founder of a nonprofit that runs in 30 different countries, right? So it's also like there's so much stories that I get all the time. Things I mean, I even love to. I have all these ideas of inventing stuff. Like, you know, like I might not physically invent them, but I got all these ideas, even for simple things like house appliances, and like just simple things like that. I mean, shoes and clothes and fashion as well, of course. But I come up with stuff all the time. I have my little notepads, and I'm just writing like, "Ooh, I'm going to create this thing," as simple as like a Post-it note, right? Just simple things like that. Like, oh, this never came out. This never came out. I'm gonna patent this one day. Blah, blah, blah. But and then there's just shoes and just clothes and all this stuff. Just like you, Caesar, I want to do some fashion too, and then food and restaurants, right, and stuff like that. But I
got a dope sneaker that I'm working on, man.
Oh,
I got some work. Yeah.
And they probably will be dope.
These are dope. Yeah, it's thought of,
Okay.
But I mean, how your creativity? What's up?
Where were we? Oh yeah, Hands-On. So yeah, so far I'm working on. There's a guy named Sixto Rodriguez. If you've heard of him or not, he had a documentary called "Searching for Sugar Man." He was a musician out of Detroit. He really awesome document. I'm not gonna talk about it because it's very long. I love this guy. I can talk about him forever. But anyways, his documentary won Sundance, it won Tribeca, not those big independent film festivals. And no, they've been telling his current story about where he came from, blah blah. But no one's really made an actual film about his life from that period, because he's from the '60s. He's a folk artist from like the '60s, around the Bob Dylan era. And I'm like, I want to shoot like the Smallville of this guy's life. Like I want to shoot his childhood. And so I shot a short film of a guy that looks like him, and we put a short together. And I eventually want to turn that into a feature. So I'm working on that. And then the other one I'm working on is the reality project is American Idol on Wheels, is what I call it. It's kind of the same concept, but in the streets. Yeah. So we go out and find street musicians and build backstories. I can't talk about it a lot. It's kind of a secret project right now, but it's In Search of the Great American Street Musician is what it is. So it's about a film crew that goes out and finds talent on the street. And so that I hope to go global with that. I mean, when I lived in Chicago, they were biting on that project. I got calls from like the richest attorneys in town. Everyone was biting on that project, like, yo. And that's when I worked out of the incubator, and everyone was throwing ideas at me because it was a no-brainer to everyone there. I think that's one of the projects that, like, I don't know. It's like it's all about how I do it now. The concept's obvious that this thing's a hit if you can make it work. So and that's not me saying that. Like everyone's been saying that. So
it's time. It's time to do it, man. It's time to do it. There's so many Americans that are stuck home due to a situation, and it's time to put it out on whatever social media platform you got, YouTube and TV and Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. It's time to do it.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing more of that, and when it comes out, man, I'm a big fan already. Just you're talking about it already.
It's just that I'm kind of in my practice mode now. I don't have any credential, as far as production yet. So, let me get my one credit out there first.
I want to say that you're like an activist and kind of political too, my friend.
Yeah.
And you love that stuff, and I salute you for that. Keep it up. It's a part of you, that what you are.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I know I know the Hmong community is probably wondering where I've been, what I'm doing. I know I used to be more hands-on, active as far as, Hmong, like H&D, Hmong National Development, and being, more at the conferences and, Hmong Wisconsin Chamber and things like that. And, I normally more in the schools and stuff like that, but I pulled out of all that. Not in the sense of, I'm Hollywood now and, it's time to get money, get popular and, forget the community. But it's more of, I think the research has gone so deep and so extensive that there's just periods of time where you need to step away from everything to see the bigger picture. And sometimes the things you're fighting for are a lot deeper and a lot stronger. It's not as easy to just step into the limelight with these kind of issues. And so I think I've gone so far into the deep with that, which I want to, don't get me wrong, it's fine. But it's just that it's harder to be present. When these are some things you kind of have to work under the surface to create any real change, right? So it's cool to be out here, but it feels more like a scene of just like, hey, okay, we're doing things, we're changing communities, and that's great. And I'm not saying it as in the scene as in it's fake, but it's just more of like I feel like sometimes you can get less done being in the public eye because of the distraction and because of the formats and the rules and policies that apply with working in social, environments and social settings. When you can dive underground and do your own personal work, it can become more effective when there aren't these regulations around you and you're able to work around the system a lot more. And so I know that sounds weird and scary and whatever, and I can't talk about about it, but my work has gone very extensive than what it has been before. So if I'm not around, just know that I didn't go away from it. There's a different way to do things. So
cool, man.
Yeah,
cool. When I want to work on wrapping things up, and the last thing I wanted to say was, can you give the listener? Can you give to the younger listeners? Can you give us an advice for what you're doing, what you're pursuing, what you do as an actor, musician, an entrepreneur? You know, go ahead.
Well, I think, like, I think people find me, like sometimes a little too serious because they don't hang out with me, and so this, uh, you know, like I'm deep in my messages, and yes, and I do a lot of extensive research, and sometimes I'll talk about serious topics, but man, have fun, like live life, don't take things over the top. Um, Nothing gets accomplished. Nothing gets accomplished if you're not enjoying yourself. You know, I mean, I used to take I used to take my artistry so serious that it took the fun out of it. You know what I mean? It was always, oh, I gotta make it, or this project had to be done, blah blah. And I just became this like mad scientist that was depressed and had anxiety all the time. And it was about something I love. You know what I mean? Normally you have depression and anxiety because you're doing something you don't love, or your environment's at a hostel, or like you're out of your element, right? No, I was in my element, but I didn't have the right mentality. And so I took it so serious that I took the fun out of it. And when I took the fun out of it, it became more tiring, and I just worked harder. But love what you do, man. Smile, and give yourself time. Don't rush into things, man. Like live, like be a person, be a human. Like hang out with friends, family, exercise, do what you do. Artistry is only as good as how well you take care of yourself. You know what I mean? And so, don't overwork yourself. Um, you know, because the more healthier you are in these other fields, the more healthy your artistry is going to be. In my mind, if you don't, if you're not good in those fields, you're never going to be in artistry because you drain yourself. And so I think have fun. I smile a lot. I'm very sarcastic. So people who don't know me, like, don't get to see that side of me. But yeah, I joke all the time. I'm the biggest jokester ever.
Awesome.
And with that, just leave it.
Awesome, dude. Enjoy it and have fun, but love the passion, enjoy it and have fun. But lastly, Elvis, before we head off.
Well, and also love who you are.
Thanks,
love who
man.
you are, man. Like being
Yeah,
Hmong and
absolutely.
like we're more special than a lot of people because of who we are, our stories, and where we come from. It's just it's honest, it's generous, it's you know what I mean. We're dope, man, and embrace who you are. But anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, lastly, where can we follow you, man? On social media? Can you give us an outlet?
Oh yeah, I mean, last name is Thao, Thao. So you can practically just Google me. I'm on pretty much every outlet. It's hard to keep up like with this new stuff. So I'm not on Periscope, TikTok, but Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. I'm a little behind. But my YouTube channel has over 100 videos, so you can always view that. It's got tons of stuff on there, from acting to just speaking to performances, and from my rock stuff too, if you haven't seen a lot of that. And then my movies, my acting. On YouTube, you can Google Elvis Town or the Elf Meister, ELF Meister. I call myself that. But YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, IMDb. If you want to check IMDb. But yeah, I do a lot of video content, man. So
cool. We are very appreciative of your time, and that's a bit, man. Like, it definitely was really nice talking to you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. Keep it up, man. Yeah, I need to go back in the restaurant and grab some of that gear, man. The Poshis are young, I don't know about it. I'm actually a little jealous because I wanted to learn like Hmong fashion with like modern fashion as well, like you've done. So a lot of the ideas you've done are things that like I always wanted to do, but you beat me to the punch, which is great. And so we'll let you on that.
We can collaborate. We can work. We can work.
Nah, I'll just be on the other side fanboying you.
Oh, likewise. Yeah, likewise. You do what you do. You're good at it. I'm be fanboying over here at your music and your movie production. Yeah. So it's all love. It's all love.
Yeah. Expect some orders from me soon.
Cool. All right, man. Talk to you later, dude.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
What can I choose? One with a definite soul. High on a cynical mode. Rap on a pinnacle phone. Cherishing all that I know. Ay.
Bye.